I'm going to give you some tips, some do's and don'ts for yoga teaching. For those of you out there who are new yoga teachers looking for a little bit of confidence to teach your first few classes and beyond. My name is Ashley. You can find me at ashesyoga.com. I am a yoga teacher and I mostly help new yoga teachers with confidence and tips to help you get on your mat and teach. Because so many of us, thousands of us, are graduating from yoga teacher training every single year, and it can be kind of scary to put yourself out there. So I'm here to help. So here are some do's and don'ts for you new yoga teachers. All right, do not. This is a do not. Don't get too creative. So many of us think that we have to reinvent the wheel or we have to do something fancy, otherwise it's going to get boring. That's not the case. What brings the energy or what brings the differentiation in your classes is your energy as the teacher. It's your job to provide that change or that feeling of the class. And when students come back to the same poses and repeat things, what they've done in the past, it brings familiarity and it helps your students gain some confidence in their abilities so they're able to check in and get better at what they're doing. So don't get too creative, don't reinvent anything, just stick to the basics and you can have a very strong teaching and practice with just simple basics. So if you're struggling, feeling like you have to get too creative, don't even go there. Do what you know, teach what you know, and add on gradually. All right, next one, don't take yourself too seriously. Many of us will get to our yoga mat and go to teach and just freak out because, what if I say something wrong? What if someone doesn't like it? What if? Get rid of those what ifs. Don't take yourself too seriously. If you mess up, keep moving. One thing I also always tell new yoga teachers to do or to not do is don't apologize. Don't say, I'm sorry. This is for any teaching type of thing. If you mess up, don't bring attention to it. Just move on. So if you are someone who stumbles over their words or gets their lefts and rights mixed up, no big deal. That's going to happen. And what you can do through that is practice, brush it off, learn to let go, as we do in our yoga practice, we do in yoga teaching too. All right, don't use filler words like I want you to, or we're gonna, or now, or and, or whatever it is that's a filler word for your cueing. A common one is I want you to. So it's an ineffective cue and people tend to tune out the teacher when you say too much. You don't have to say too much. Be concise, practice with concise words, like gentle concise. You're not commanding. You're not like, do this, do this, do this. But make it a little bit more concise. Cut out those filler words. And so that way people can actually hear you. But along with hearing you, here is it's not a do or a don't, but it's another tip, is that different words mean different things to different people. True story. So if you are someone who says a certain cue all the time, in your power yoga class, or you've heard it before from someone else and you understand it, someone else might not understand it. An example of this would be like using the words bend down to 90 or something. You might hear that a lot in like a power yoga class where they're meaning like bend down to 90 degrees in the elbows. But if you just use like yoga lingo or yoga jargon, people don't always understand you. If you're speaking in Sanskrit all the time, some will get it, some won't. So practice using different cues, different words for each time you come to a pose. And so that could be like practicing your sun salutations using different words every time. And if you don't know different words, write them down. Write down 5 different ways to do a sun salutation without the same cues for any of the poses. Wouldn't that be a great exercise? I actually have people do that in yoga teacher training, is write down 3 different ways to do your sun salutations. 3, 5, whatever it is, write down a bunch. I also have this in a cueing guide too. It's called this thesaurus exercise. So if you have a word that you overuse or one that is ineffective, like bring or put or something like that, you can find a bunch of different words to replace that so that you can be a little bit more effective and as you're cueing in your yoga classes. Okay, here's a do. Do detail one thing at a time, and also stack your instructions. This is, so detailing one thing at a time, of course, because if you're all over the place, it's gonna be really hard to understand. So think of one thing at a time, take a pause, take a break, give students some space to really think about what you said. Slow down your talking, slow your breath so that you can detail one thing at a time. So stacking your instructions is twofold. One, stacking it literally from the bottom, from the ground, working your way up. If you're in a standing pose, start with your feet, where are your feet, and then your knees and your hips, and stack all the way up. And stacking also means, as far as providing poses, starting with the modification, starting with the lower level, and then adding on intensity. If you start with the intense version and say, oh yeah, but you could always modify by coming down, no one wants to come down. No one wants to be seen as weak. It's a mental thing. But if we start lower and say, this is an awesome pose right here, you can stay here, but to add intensity today, if that's where you're at, then we add on. So you're stacking upwards to the intensity rather than the reverse. Understandable? All right. So here's another do. Do, please, be open to feedback. It can be hard to take criticism if someone is telling you they didn't like something. Sometimes it's a personal preference. Someone didn't like your music. Someone didn't like a certain pose. Step back and reflect. Is it something you can change? Is it something that you're willing to change? But you don't have to change it. If it's something that you know that, this is okay. I like this and this is what I want to be part of my teaching, then great. If it's something that you can change, maybe you want to, maybe you can turn down the music, maybe you can say different words in a certain pose, but be open to feedback. It's going to help you grow, help you become a better teacher. And let's see. All right, the last thing I want to say is that don't be afraid to bring a little intensity to your practice, to your teaching, because intensity actually adds focus, and people like to be challenged. So it's okay to add on intensity, right? So don't think that you have to, you don't have to teach to the lowest level of the person in your class. In fact, try to teach to that midline, the in-between. So you're not teaching to the very most advanced, you're not teaching to the very most beginner, but you're giving them options for a full range to teach to that midline of students. So notice what the energy is. Notice where your students are. And remember, when you're teaching yoga, it's not about you. It's not about you, it's about the students. It's about their practice. So make it about them. Make it a conversation for them. Like, be there for them, right? So don't take yourself too seriously. You're gonna mess up, you're gonna fumble, but you're showing up for them, for the students, so that they can have a great experience on and off their mat around you. So share your message, share what you love, and I hope that this helps you. I hope it helped, this do's and don'ts of teaching yoga, tips for new yoga teachers. I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time. And for now, have a super awesome day. Don't forget to smile. It helps you be a little bit more authentic with your speech and your teaching. And I'll see you in the next times. If you want to check out more from me, I'm at ashesyoga.com. Bye.